Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. I had a completely different idea for a video today, and literally just seconds before we started recording, I stumbled upon this brand new article from CNBC. So I said, you know what? Scrap that. This headline just stream of consciousness. This headline just caught my interest, and I just want to see what kind of FUD this was. So I figured we are going to read this together live, and we'll just react and just be kind of organic about this. As you all know, there's always stream of consciousness, so don't get too judgy about the things I say or how I go about it or I read, because like I said, this is live, organic. There's no editing here or anything. All right, before we get into this and before we address this potential FUD, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. If you want to support the channel, you can find a link to our Patreon down below, and our merch store also has a link down below. All right, with that said, let's take a look at Elon Musk's bad week. Here we can see the title, Elon Musk had a bad week. And of course, this is from CNBC. I'll continue to call them CNBC until I start seeing some FUD, and then we may transition to CNBS. So we'll skip over the highlights here. They have a very somber, sad look of Elon Musk, which actually I don't think this was a somber moment. I think this was during AI Day where he was just thinking, just in a pensive moment. All right, so let's see how this starts off. In what's been a particularly eventful year for Elon Musk, this was a decidedly rough week. Tesla stock, which has lost almost half its value since peaking in November, dropped more than 6% in the last week as investors continue to sell off of their tech holdings. All right, so this premise right away, everybody's down. The whole market's down. Every car company's down. Like this is, whatever. This narrative already is starting to bother me. There are internal matters at Tesla that aren't helping. This week, they were tied to safety issues with the company's advanced driver assistance system. This, again, is bogus. What they're referring to, I believe, again, I haven't read this whole article, so maybe they'll give context, but I believe what they're referring to is the whole NHTSA report, which actually came out in a glowing way for Tesla, actually, and even NHTSA said none of this should be deemed as anything to make any kind of assumptions of any kind of data of any manufacturer. And the main reason is because Tesla's the only company that actually provides good, valid, relevant data. Everybody else is kind of, they'll send in whatever they can. Anyways, Musk's other big company, SpaceX, fired a group of employees who circulated an internal letter that reportedly denounced the CEO and founder as a distraction and embarrassment. Meanwhile, the Federal Aviation Administration on Monday handed SpaceX Starship rocket program a long to-do list before it can receive until it can receive a launch license in Boca Chica, Texas. Again, very interesting premise here. So this was, everybody celebrated this week for SpaceX because they got the environmental approval for this launch, but it came with, yes, some list of things that they still have to do and other things they want changed, but they got the approval. So again, what a weird spin. And with these naysayers, these outliers, these employees that start up a petition internally, look, I dare you to go to your current company. I dare you to send company-wide emails, multiple emails, essentially forcing people to take, or not forcing, but strongly recommending all these people to take these surveys that essentially belittle, denounce the CEO based on certain things that you believe politically or whatnot. And let's see how that goes for you. Let's see how well that is received by your management. Look, I don't care about any of this. I think this is all drama, to be honest. The big thing with that to me is like, look, if you have a problem with something, take it up with your management. There's a chain of command. Maybe that's my military background that's coming out, but there is a chain of command. And if your direct supervisor doesn't listen to you or doesn't do anything that you feel restores confidence in whatever issues you're having, well, then you go to their manager, right? That's the reason why there's this chain. But for you to sit there and try to start this mutiny revolution within a company, look, you're asking to be sent out of the building. You're asking to lose your job. And you know what? If whatever your opinions are that strong, that you believe that strongly about it, about losing your job, and it's not about the mission of whatever company you're working for, well then, hey, good for you. Then you did what's right by you. But don't be surprised if the company, if the CEO, if the management do what's right for them. And to them, this is all a distraction from the goal, from the mission. There's a lot going on in SpaceX. They have a lot of flights coming up. They have launches. I mean, there's just so much going on. This is nothing more than a distraction. So again, interesting way that CNBC spins it here. So let's continue here. Okay, here we go. Interesting. I haven't even read this yet, but I just see a Tesla that is obviously crashed here. Just looks like it caught on fire. But let's read this. Then there's Twitter. Musk agreed to buy the social media company for $44 billion in April, but it has since publicly trashed it, raising all sorts of concerns about whether the deal will actually close. On Thursday, Musk spoke on Twitter. Musk spoke to Twitter employees for the first time in a video address that was widely panned, based on messages that showed up on the internet, on the internal chat board. Here's what went down, Musktown. Okay, so I'm sure this is old news at this point. This happened, isn't that crazy? Like a day ago is old news. But so this essentially, Elon Musk had a town hall meeting with Twitter employees, allowed them to ask questions, and he just reiterated the same things he's been saying. He thinks that Twitter can be better. He believes in free speech as long as it follows the given country's rules and laws, right? So in other words, if it's illegal what you're doing, then no, that doesn't fall within free speech. He talked about needing to get their revenue and spending under control, right? If people were asking, "Are you going to let people go or whatnot?" And he said, "Look, if you're a contributor, if you add value, you're not going anywhere. Don't worry about it." However, Twitter does have a problem. Their revenue exceeds the amount of burn that they have. So something has to happen here, right? In other words, the job, if you work at a certain company and you get a certain paycheck, right? And say it's $3,000 a month that you get, but your bills are $4,000, $5,000 a month. Guess what? You have a problem. You got to fix that, and that's what Twitter has. Twitter needs to fix this, and that's Elon's point. Elon even said, yes, you can work remotely again as long as you are doing a good job, and that's based on what your managers say. They were referencing Tesla, but Elon really delineated this well, saying, look, Tesla is a car company. It's a little different. But at the same time, Elon also said he still thinks that people work better collaboratively when they're in person, right? It doesn't mean you have to be in the office every day, but at the same time, you shouldn't be able to walk down the street and not know that that's a colleague of yours, right? You should at least be coming into the office every once in a while and having time with your team to get to know each other. That's all about relationship building. And that creates trust, and it's important. So I do believe in that. All right, so anyways, here we go. Problematic data on driver assist crashes. Okay, here we go. Let's see how much garbage is here. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, said on Wednesday that Tesla vehicles accounted for nearly 70% of reported crashes involving advanced driver assistance systems since last June. Data provided by the U.S. safety agency said that the electric cars were involved in 273,000 of the 390,000. I don't know why I said that. 273 of the 392 accidents cited in the report, which included data from 11 automakers. Again, this is kind of biased because how much data and who is providing what, right? Tesla has the ability because their cars are so connected, and Tesla's just next level. So they have the data to provide, and they provide all the data. And so this is where this is kind of already skewed. Still, the NHTSA said that the data doesn't have proper context. Okay, all right, good on CNBC. Still, the NHTSA, National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, said that the data doesn't have proper context and is only meant as a guide to quickly identify potential defect trends. Quote, I would advise caution before attempting to draw conclusions based only on the data that we're releasing, end quote. NHTSA Administrator Stephen Cliff said during a media event, quote, in fact, the data alone may raise more questions than they answer, end quote. Again, so why, if we come back up here, problematic data on driver assist crash, do you not understand? This is coming straight from NHTSA. Yes, that was the NHTSA's report. That was the conclusion. But again, it's as if, if I had 10 people here and I asked, okay, who's had pizza in the last 10 days? And only one person says, I've had pizza, but everybody else was asleep and they didn't actually answer. They didn't have a way of knowing. That's a horrible analogy, but you get my point. It's all about the context and who has the data, who's actually providing it. So that's all skewed, and that's the whole point of what NHTSA is saying here, right? The administrator of NHTSA is saying, right, don't take this for anything, right? There's a lot of context and nuance that matters here. So again, I don't know why that's the way they're trying to report on it. All right, Tesla hikes prices across U.S. car models. Again, this is crazy. When Musk announced plans in June to cut 10% of Tesla's workforce, the CEO said he had a super bad feeling about the economy. For consumers, those concerns are turning into sticker shock. Let me pause right there. First of all, this email that still nobody has seen, nobody's leaked it, nobody knows anything about it. So you're referring to something that is hearsay that you don't actually know. Meanwhile, all the other emails we've seen, Elon's been very explicit. The only people who are getting let go are salaried employees. Hourly workers, they will increase headcount. By the end of the year, they will have more headcount than they had at the beginning. Elon's been very clear about this. And his whole point is that we need less kind of middle management, is essentially what's happening here. So they're just trying to lean out, which is a natural course for any company. So that's interesting. And then as far as it's leading to sticker shock, look, Tesla is increasing prices because they have so much demand. They literally opened up the Model Y in Australia and it was sold out in 2 days. 2 days. Tesla has to increase prices so that they can control all this demand. Elon said we don't want people waiting 2+ years for a vehicle. So this is why they keep raising prices. Sure, maybe part of it has something to do with materials, but if you look at everything, as far as it goes to batteries, besides lithium, everything has come down over the last couple months, right? So even steel, aluminum, everything has come down in price. So I don't think it's really about that. I think it's more about the fact that they have so much demand, they're trying to control that. All right, so it goes on to say the company increased the price of the Model Y long range version to $65,990 from $62,990, and raised the performance models by $2,000 to $69,990 according to the website. Okay, electric said the price model. Okay, yeah, so everything went up. Yeah, I got it. There's a lot of demand. Great. This is a good problem to have. Tesla had previously delayed deliveries of some of the long range models in the U.S. Okay, so far I don't see the bad week here. FAA says SpaceX Starship program needs adjustments. The FAA on Monday made an environmental decision that resulted in a mix of good and bad news for Musk SpaceX and the Mammoth Starship rocket the company is developing in Texas. The regulators issued a list of more than 75 environmental mitigation actions that the company must complete before it can move forward with Starship flight tests, including in the requirements are limitations on noise level and how often SpaceX can close the public highways near the facility. Again, I don't think any of that's a big deal. After the FAA's decision, Musk said the company will have a Starship prototype rocket ready to fly by July. Okay, yeah, so Elon's having a bad week, huh? Sounds like a pretty damn good week if you ask me. The company is aiming to reach orbit with the vehicle for the first time. It's interesting they said vehicle there, but I guess it is a vehicle, right? But it first requires a launch license from the FAA. The regulators required mitigation. The regulators required mitigations amount to a significant lift before the company can request one. The good news for SpaceX is the FAA has concluded its assessment and is not requiring a more in-depth review. Again, that's a good thing. Like okay, sure, they come back with 75 new things they have to do. That's not a big deal. You know how fast they're going to knock those things out? Look at Giga Berlin. Giga Berlin, I think, had a list of 150 things they had to do, but they essentially had the approvals and they couldn't produce cars until these requirements were met. There were all kinds of things, like something about bats and just all kinds of things. And guess what? They got it done in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. All right, SpaceX employees embarrassed by Musk. An unknown number of SpaceX employees wrote an internally circulated. I know it was 5. We already know this. I see that this didn't get as much research as it should have. An unknown number of SpaceX employees wrote and internally circulated a letter that was critical of Musk and his public behavior, describing him as, quote, a frequent source of distraction and embarrassment, end quote, according to media reports. Okay, CNBC reported on Friday that at least 5 employees, okay, yeah, so they did get it, 5 employees involved in the letter were fired as a result. SpaceX president and COO Gwen Shotwell, in a company-wide email obtained by CNBC, claimed the letter and process to solicit signers, quote, upset many, end quote, employees who she felt, quote, uncomfortable, intimidated, and bullied, end quote. She says, quote, "We have too much critical work to accomplish and no need for this kind of overreaching activism," Shotwell wrote. "I am sorry for this distraction. Please stay focused on the SpaceX mission and use your time at work to do your best work," end quote. All right, so far I don't see any big issues here. Musk calls with Twitter employees didn't go well. Okay, this is interesting. With Twitter stock price trading around $37, well below the 54, Musk agreed to pay for the company. Investors and employees are justifiably concerned about what the future holds. Musk all-hand meeting with Twitter staffers on Thursday seemed like an effort by the potential future owner to establish a sense of trust and transparency with the people who would be working for him. But reactions on Slack, if you don't know what Slack is, it's essentially a messaging a way of people message IM, if you will, within a given company. But Slack is much more than that, right? Slack is essentially like a repository of information, and you can create different chat rooms and stuff for different products or teams that you have that can be open to the entire company. But Slack's a very popular communication tool within many tech companies. But reaction on Slack following the meeting indicated employees were still left with questions and concerns, according to a person who saw the messages but asked not to be named as they were intended to be private. While former CEO Jack Dorsey promised employees the option to work remote permanently, Musk has taken a very different approach with his companies, recently demanding Tesla and SpaceX workers be in office at least 40 hours a week. Nuance matters here. Musk said on the call that he may not be as strict with Twitter employees because developing software can more easily be handled from afar, while car manufacturing requires physical presence. Okay, I'm glad they said this. Nuance matters. But his answer didn't appear to calm concerns. His comments also left some Twitter employees fearing for their jobs, according to the person familiar. In addressing concerns about potential layoffs, Musk said Twitter needs to get into a healthy financial state, but that, quote, anyone who is a significant contributor has nothing to worry about, end quote, according to the person. In response, Twitter employees shared messages and memes toward the end of the meeting, riffing on how to brand themselves as exceptional. Looking back at this and reading this, again, this is my first time. It just came up. So I figured it was literally updated 3 minutes ago. So I figured why not just hop on here and do it together. Sure, my reading was a little stumbled there. Apologies for that. But again, this is all stream of consciousness. Reading all that, do you honestly feel like that was a bad week for Elon? Okay, sure, the stock price went down. All right, well, the stock price went down for everybody. All right, this isn't a isolated thing for Tesla. Okay, so then you talk about the NHTSA reports and stuff. Okay, the administrator of NHTSA literally said, don't take this to make any conclusions, that this is going to be very open-ended, that everybody sends this for different amounts of data. And at the end of the day, this opens up for more questions than answers. Okay, so that's not a big deal. If anything, that was a win for Tesla and for Elon, because a lot of us were fearful that this was going to be targeting Tesla and FSD beta. So I'm glad it wasn't. I thought they handled it very professionally. I don't really like the way they had certain metrics done, but the whole point is they're working on it, and they clarified that this is a work in progress, and it's by no means close to a finished product of how they want to monitor everything. Okay, so not a big deal there. All right, Tesla is going to increase prices of their vehicles. Oh no, Tesla's going to have great margins on more vehicles. Wow, what a big problem that they're going to have. That's silly. SpaceX. Okay, SpaceX got the approval that they've been waiting for a long time now, the environmental approval. And yes, they got the approval with some extra homework for them to do. Again, not a big deal. Like I said, Giga Berlin knocked everything out in about 2 weeks. I think it was actually in 10 days they knocked everything out. You really think SpaceX is going to let these things bother them? Right? No, they're going to knock all these things out. They're going to be launching in July, and they're going to be launching again in August. They're going to be ready to go. This is great news for SpaceX. So, again, no big deal. Internal email within SpaceX. Hey, guess what? You just got rid of some dead weight. That's a win. All right? At the end of the day, anybody who, look, companies are ran for a reason, to provide something, right, to other people, a service, a product, right? The company should be mission oriented, right? A company does not have to appease to all of your political views and anything that you feel so strongly about outside of work. That's not how this works. Okay, a company is built for a certain reason. Now, sure, you can have empathy and you can decide to do some things that are inclusive of others and have things within, but at the end of the day, the core point of the company is to do whatever the company was founded to do. All right, not to appease everybody. Right. So sometimes we forget this world we live in. It's like right now with the work from home thing. Right. If a company says you have to be in the office, look, then you have to be in the office. Right. Look, I work remotely. So I'm all for remote work, right? 100%. But at the same time, I'm not going to have a conniption over my employer who pays my salary, who allows me to do everything I do and live a good life and have good health insurance. I'm not going to have a conniption because they want me to go into the office. Look, at the end of the day, if I want to leave, I can leave. If I want to go somewhere else, I can go somewhere else. So these are the rules of the game, right? I have to abide by their rules. I can try to push back a little bit. I can plead with my manager, try to show I'm exceptional, that these are the reasons why I can't. But hey, other than that, if I have a problem with it, I can leave. I'm not going to go around having a petition because I don't like something that's happening. And for them to be so upset about Elon Musk and the things he's saying, the things he's being that are distracting them, then turn your phone off. Stop looking at Twitter. Stop looking at social media. Stop looking at the news, right? If it bothers you so much, then change the things you're looking at. But don't expect the CEO, the founder of the company, to pander to what you want because your feelings are hurt. That's ridiculous. That wouldn't fly in any company. Again, empathy is important, but this is obnoxious and this is not the right way to go about anything. All right. So, look, the whole Twitter thing, again, a lot of these people who work at Twitter, they're in for a rude awakening. They're in for a CEO who is going to try to get them to profitability, who's going to try to get them to grow, and a CEO that, guess what? He's going to speak his mind. Just as everybody there is speaking their mind, they're sitting there and they're riffing and creating memes about Elon Musk while they're sitting there tweeting. I'm sure Elon would have no problem with that, right? Go ahead, do that on Twitter, and I meant on Slack. But the point is, that's free speech, all right? So that even if the people that you don't like or the people disagree with you and you don't agree with them, you should have the right to say what you want to say. I don't know if any of that made sense. I kind of just had a word salad moment there. All right. Well, Elon Musk had a bad week. I would disagree. I would say Elon Musk had a pretty good week. The only bad thing is the stock price. But guess what? This is the market. This is where we're at. All right. And this has nothing to do with Elon. This has nothing to do with Tesla. Those companies are very strong, stronger than ever, to be honest. If anything, I'd be worried about companies like Ford, but that's for another video. All right, we're going to leave it there. Do me a favor. If you enjoy this type of video, if you enjoy this content, if you want to help get this out to more people, do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. Appreciate all of you. Listen, enjoy your weekend. Turn the phone off, as Yashu would say. Go ahead, spend the time with your family, enjoy it. It's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully you have a long weekend. I have a long weekend, so I'm going to enjoy it with my fiance. We're going to go to the beach. We're going to go have some nice cheese and meats, and we're going to have a good evening right now with my best friend and his girlfriend. So we're going to go have a nice dinner, and we're going to enjoy the weekend. We're going to enjoy life. We're going to enjoy the moment. So I encourage you to do the same thing. All right, I love you all. Peace.